Happy Fantasy Friday. It's time for book club. We are Lindsey,
Kelly,
and Katharine, and this is the Banner and Bookmarks podcast. We are three book besties diving into romantasy with unhinged theories and a bit of spice.
Heads up, this podcast contains spoilers. If you would like a spoiler-free introduction to the book, go back and listen to episode 1, our world-building episode for this series. But for now, we will be covering all things Quicksilver, and it will absolutely be full of spoilers.
So pour yourself a drink, come escape reality with us, and let's talk about books.
This week, we are going to be going over chapters 25 through 29. But first, I have to do a shout out to Lindsey right now because I read the bonus chapters. She gave us homework and I read them. And although we are going to do a deep dive of them later in the series, I have to commend Lindsey on the fact that you have kept your mouth shut and avoided spoilers with us. And I don't know how you did it. I do not know how you contained yourself because I wanted to say all of the thoughts in the head and you didn't let it infiltrate any of our episodes. And I'm so proud of you. And you need a shout out because that was damn hard to do, girl.
Thank you. I kept my inside thoughts on the inside. Especially last episode. It was really, really hard for me.
And you were so annoyed that we didn't read it.
No, it wasn't annoyed, but like I wanted to share it so badly. And so if you listen to the last episode, I feel like I was talking at such a slow pace because I was trying so hard to like piece through what you guys knew and what you didn't know. And I don't think a lot of listeners know that the bonus chapters exist either. And so I didn't want to spoil it for them. And so as I was talking, I was like, and then he says that... and I felt really slow.
I could not believe you were able to do it. And in this episode, when we get to chapter 29, we will be talking about Ballard and the Ajun Gate. Now, 2 of the 3 bonus chapters deal with Ajun Gate specifically. We are still, because I do not believe Kelly has read the bonus chapters yet.
I wanted to, and today was a busy day at work, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Work first, podcast later.
Exactly. So for everybody, if you haven't read the bonus chapters, do not worry. We are not going to spoil things as much as I'm going to channel Lindsey and keep the inside thoughts inside, even though I might be bursting.
Your Riddick is going to try to come out.
It's hard for sure.
If I look red, it's because I'm like, don't say it. We will be doing a deep dive of the bonus chapters. I would recommend everybody, before you get to our last episode, read those bonus chapters.
Yep,
your life will change. You'll have so many new theories. And honestly, looking back on things we have said, I am now like, I have new theories and I disagree with things we have said. It opens up your world.
It's hard.
It's amazing.
Hard.
I cannot wait.
They're
Actually,
fantastic.
I think that's the perfect teaser for the final episodes.
I love too that a lot of times when authors post bonus chapters, they are like teasers for the next book, and these are standalones. Ooh. So we get a lot of really cool tidbits of information. Like Katharine was saying, there's a lot of little Easter eggs in there and a lot of little tidbits in there. And it's not like we are just getting a sneak peek. It's things that are addition to the story and addition to canon, which is so cool.
And it's so funny because you said something earlier today before we started our episode of you asked a question, you had an opinion. And now I know what my answer would have been yesterday. But now I've read it change, and I could literally point to the bonus chapters and say, I have a concrete explanation as to why I have a very strong opinion on something now because I read those chapters.
I love it.
And I actually looked at them today too. And in our last episode, I think I questioned how many members of the Lupo Proelia. So there are 8. Kingfisher is 8.
Yes.
So it is 7.
Oh, he is the 8th.
He is the 8th. It is. Okay. I went and back and looked, and it is 7 plus Kingfisher. Yes. So he's part of the 8.
All right. Promise. I am going to read it this week. I am 2 days away from my birthday. Toss. And I have taken the day off, and I literally plan to read all day. I know.
Yes,
ma'am. I deserve it. My husband convinced me to take off. So I'm going to read. If I don't read them tonight or tomorrow, they will be read on Wednesday.
You're going to love them.
They're good. They're so good.
All right.
Now, let's get into those summaries. Kelly, you want to start us off with chapter 25?
Chapter 25, Ballard. Saeris wakes up a bit hungover after her night of drinking with Lorith at the tavern. She spends the day exploring Kalish, noticing that it was a home built for a family. After 2 days, Kingfisher finally shows up, and after a visit with Talena, takes Saeris to the village of Ballard. The village is brimming with high fae and lesser fae creatures that are celebrating one of their feast days, the longest night of the year. There are food stalls, games, flowers, musicians. It is absolutely full of life. They spend a fun, almost peaceful night together, interacting with the townspeople, and eventually they go to an apartment that Kingfisher owns in Ballard to sleep.
Chapter 26, Ash and Cinders. Saeris wakes up to Kingfisher screaming bloody murder in the other room. She goes to him, and he is an absolute mess, tears running down his face and pain in his eyes. He tells her to go, but she stays anyways. For 4 hours, Saeris watches Kingfisher racked with pain and realizing that it is the Quicksilver torturing his body and mind. To distract Kingfisher, Saeris tells him about her grim past in Zilvarin and about her mother's death. After some time, they finally fall asleep together peacefully.
Chapter 27 marked. Saeris wakes up in Kingfisher's arm, and the tension builds rather quickly. Things start to get hot and heavy between them, and suddenly Saeris realizes that they can speak mind to mind. That's new. Saeris begs Fisher to bite her, to sink his delicious fae vamp teeth into her, and it's good. Saeris falls asleep afterwards, as you would, and wakes up to the smell of breakfast being cooked for her. She sits down to eat, looks down at her hands, and realizes her hands and arms are covered in tattoos. Saeris is shocked, to say the least, but Fisher tries to brush off their importance, telling her she has a month to decide if she wants to keep them or not. He casts a glamour to hide them in the meantime and apologizes to Saeris for the bite mark on her neck.
I love chapter 27.
We're just going to let Kelly talk on chapter 27. He's just going to read it to you.
It's going to be high-pitched the whole time. Chapter 28, Just Ask. Saeris is back at work in the forge and frustrated. Carrion comes in and Saeris is throwing glass beakers against rocks in order to let out some rage. She tells him that the Quicksilver has been mocking her, and Carrion suggests that instead of forcing it, to simply ask the Quicksilver. I love Carrion. Duh. They go to the map tent, and Saeris does just that. She asks the Quicksilver pieces from Danya's sword to come out of the stone wall. After a bit of frustrating conversation with the Quicksilver, it tells her that it will obey, come out of the wall, and allow Saeris to forge it into a new sword, but only for the price of some music. Lorith has come into the tent and offers his magic to help pick up all the small pieces, and it dawns on Saeris where she will get her music from.
Chapter 29, Ballad of Ajun Gate. Back at the forge again, Saeris smelts the pieces, noting that the Quicksilver pieces are cooperating with her. After some time working, Saeris goes out to find Lorith and Carrion, and Saeris asks Lorith to whittle a piece for her. As she continues to shape the sword, Lorith whittles a piece of yew into an impressive wolf's head, which Saeris casts and turns into a pommel. Lorith picks up the stunning new sword, and it speaks, asking for a song. Kingfisher has also let himself into the forge as the two have worked. Carrion, of course, has fallen asleep. Kingfisher and Saeris listen to Lorith's song, The Ballad of Ajun Gate, telling the tale of Kingfisher's bravery in slaying the last dragon, Anamshakrai, saving the people. Once the song finishes, the Quicksilver tells Lorith that the sword has now claimed him, no longer belonging to Danya. As soon as he names the sword, a brilliant white light erupts from it, and a pillar of energy transforms the sky. Excitedly, Fisher lets him know that this is Angel's breath.
It's funny thinking about how we begin these chapters and then how we end it. We almost begin on a kind of somber note. She's come in from like a night of drinking with Lorith, and she sees just this empty house, right? And she's kind of melancholy about the whole thing. Like, this house should be filled with children. It's almost depressing. And then when we end our episode, we're talking about Angel's breath. Like, God Sword's coming back. Like, it's interesting how we timed our episodes this week. We're going to be sad, but then we're going to go out on a high here.
You're right. There's a big journey.
Huge journey in these chapters.
Yeah.
Every episode from here on out, I feel like so much happens and there are ups and downs and revelations and just so much packed into it. So
your emotions go from down here to really up here really quickly.
Yes. As Lindsey says, strap in.
Strap in.
We're going to be here for a little bit.
So did it bother anybody else that Kingfisher basically left Saeris for 2 days straight? She's wandering around. Anybody else a little bit frustrated coming into this chapter at the beginning?
Yeah, it kind of made me wonder, like, why, right? Like, was it just because he was torn up about their night together and about seeing her tattoos? Is it because, 2 days is a long time. Was he maybe protecting her from something? Like, did something happen on the war front potentially that he was hiding from her? Like, because she really doesn't have any contact with anybody during that time. So it kind of makes you wonder why.
Yeah.
You know?
I kind of see it as he's fighting his own battles. That's my guess. I think he is torn up about it. I think he doesn't want it to be real. I think he's starting to feel love for her and he's really starting to see, oh, this is my mate.
Having a mark appearing on her skin, like obviously he's been toying with the emotion of it, but I think seeing something physically on her skin is a really different journey.
You can't deny it
for
at
him.
this point.
Yeah.
Do you think it's also because in his mind he was expecting her to be Fae, she is human, and so it's probably even more impactful to see those runes appearing on a human?
It could be.
You know?
So actually, I hadn't thought about that.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is
like this whole time he could be thinking, my mother got it wrong, right? She
right.
saw this
She's
person,
not my mate.
Yeah, she doesn't have the ears, but then all of a sudden these tattoos are forming this bond he's feeling that he is
because it's a
fighting.
Fae thing.
Exactly.
Right. That's true. Mates are Fae. They're not human.
But it's appearing on a human. So I think he's now realizing that I can't fight this. She is my mate.
Right. It's real now.
That really hadn't occurred to me until you just said that there's a difference between the Fae getting them. Obviously, it's a Fae tradition, and she's a human. Like, should she even be getting these tattoos?
Yeah.
But we know she has Fae blood in her, right? She's an alchemist. But I think he was probably still rejecting his mother's prophecy that this is my mate, probably holding on to that. And I think probably visually seeing that was just such a stark reminder of, that is my mate. My mother saw this. It's going to happen whether I want to reject it or not. So he's probably spending 2 days processing.
Yep.
I'm very less mad about him, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah. And I do kind of think Saeris, there's a quote in here that Saeris really kind of has a moment about, we talked about this in the last episode too, about Kingfisher having that moment when he realizes that Saeris has been cleansed, right? And that he's really heartbroken about it. So we see it from Saeris's side as well in this quote. So she says, I didn't belong here, and while the estate was beautiful and cozy and felt as though it had been loved at some point, I couldn't see how Kingfisher fit here either. The place was built for a family. They were supposed to be children tearing along the walls and the sound of laughter in the air, but the grand house echoed with a painful silence that filled me with sadness. Oof.
That's really rough.
That's rough. Like, we saw it from Kingfisher's perspective before. Now we're seeing it from Saeris's perspective of just the fact that she cannot have children. Like, she cannot produce an heir. It's also interesting to me that she doesn't just say, like, I don't belong here. She says Kingfisher doesn't fit in here either, because he is not a family guy at this point. He's still really pushed away the people that he loves, because as much as Saeris does care about Kingfisher, she also cares about the Kingfisher that she knows,
right? Which
is a Kingfisher that is infected with Quicksilver.
Yes.
Like, that's a whole different Kingfisher potentially than one that we might see in a couple of books.
Yep. The Kingfisher that we know is not the Kingfisher that belongs in that house.
Yeah. Oh, that's really heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's like, what could he have been? What was he before this happened to him?
And what could he be without me?
Ugh.
Like, I can't
rough.
give him this family. Like, this was his childhood home, and I cannot fill it with love for him.
So maybe it made sense that they both took 2 days to decompress.
Yeah, that's heavy.
That is
Also,
heartbreaking.
You know what else it's making me think too? Does he miss his mother in this moment too? He might miss his mother. He has this prophecy from her. Maybe all this time he was trying to deny it. He meets her. He sees that she looks almost exactly like it. He probably has a pang of, my mother saw this coming. Then he thought maybe his mother was wrong because she doesn't have the Fae ears. She's clearly a human. Now he sees again, wait, my mom's right because mom is right. She has a tattoo on her and it is permanent. It kind of makes me feel sad because it's making me miss the person that clearly was taken from him too soon, that was forced to remarry an awful man when your father was trapped in this other realm. Like, it just to me brings back a lot of emotion and reality of what his family could have been and what they're not. And it's a lot. It's a lot to process for me.
And think about our Arthurian legend suffering. It kind of shows you how much he is constantly doing since a very young age. First his father, the Quicksilver, when he was also young, then just growing up in this entire world. Like, he suffers a lot.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, I think we've always equated his suffering with the Quicksilver specifically. But if you think about the way that his family was torn up, he suffered a lot prior to that too. There was a lot of heartbreak for the Quicksilver.
His family and his home, really.
Oh, you guys, I don't think I expected this to get this sad quickly.
Okay, so then let's go to Ballard.
Let's go to the Ren Fair.
Let's go to the Ren Fair. Let's have some fun.
That's true. Which is probably why Fisher brought her there, right? Didn't he say, like, I need to show you this? I need peace.
Yeah. We go to Ballard. We see all these magical fae and lesser fae creatures. And it's kind of just, it's a party. It's a festival. It happens every year. There's a specific...
I don't think they name
They don't name
it, though.
the feast day, but yes.
Just that it's a special day.
Exactly. And so they're there to celebrate. It was full of... Ballard, it's full of life. So we're going to go from the melancholy. We're going to get a little bit happier now.
And he's going to eat his favorite frickin' biscuits, which I love. The woman's like, hello, I've been making these biscuits for you. Finally, good, come and eat these biscuits.
Wait, does that mean she's been making biscuits for him for 110
so,
years?
For years, and he never showed up. And now she's like, hello, come eat these biscuits that I made for you, which she found an Instagram account that bakes and reads books, and she made her own recipe for the Quicksilver biscuits. I need to tag her because it's so good. I can't wait to make them. It's so cute. Anyway.
What is her name? Wendy was her name?
Yes, I think Wendy.
So, quote, Ballard was full of life. It spilled out of the ground and hovered in the trees and hung in the air like sweet music. This place was a home. The residents to Ballard weren't oppressed. No one was looming over them, threatening them with death if they didn't fall into line. Is this foreshadowing?
Yeah. I think so.
Right?
It's like what could be.
Yeah. Like this is what life would look like without the war. Mm-hmm. It kind of makes you wonder that if we have a happy ending with these characters, I feel like we're being told that they're going to end up in Ballard.
I know.
I was just looking at the map. And it's not in their region.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's under...
So they're not part of the war,
Galeria.
Then.
It's really, it's far over on the other side of the coast. So if you think of like a total map here, and you've like Fisher's estate is right here, but Ballard's all the way over there.
Okay, but let's break that
down.
I'm
so excited. What's going to come out of your mouth right now?
The apartment that they spend the night in belonged to Fisher's mom.
Yes.
Correct. Do we assume then that she was Galeria?
Oh, I always assumed that.
Oh, yeah.
I always assumed that.
I don't think I put that together.
I didn't either.
So she is not... I think
she's
in
not
my mind this whole time, Ballard was somehow connected to Kalish. Like it was within the same area. And it was part of Kingfisher's. That's why he was well known there. That's why they had an apartment there. Because in my mind, it was like a village somehow connected to Kalish.
No, remember the mother has we'll get to this later, but there's a statue of the mother in Ballard.
So
that's her place. I think Kalish might be of the father.
A little closer to the coast. That's where Ballard is.
Maybe Kalish is what he would own from his father.
So if she has a statue, is she...
Will you hold that
possibly
thought for a second?
I will.
Ooh.
I will hold that.
Ooh, we've
thought.
got some things coming.
Yeah, I did not put together the map. Like in my mind, it was always part of Kalish's kind of region.
Yeah.
And that's why he was so
was
well
his.
known there and so comfortable in his.
Okay.
It's why maps are so much
I
fun.
love it. All right, cool. So we'll hold that thought.
Wow. Okay.
We'll get back
I'm
to it.
loving this.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
We
mhm.
then get a little bit of more background into the Fae, I guess we would say. How children are full grown from around 21 to 22 years old. The aging process slows down dramatically, but Fae are not immortal. And Fae children are very, very vulnerable. Apparently, they possess this vibrant energy that is too potent for predators to resist. So they're very cherished and very protected.
Mm,
And
that
they
makes
don't
sense.
happen very often, right?
Mhm.
Right.
That's why it was kind of surprising that Bellicon brought Kingfisher's mom to the palace because she had already given birth to Kingfisher. So it was not very likely
Right.
that she would give him another heir. And
She
obviously she did, but it does kind of make you wonder, like, was that purposeful for Bellicon? Like maybe he had some sort of nefarious agenda that he didn't want an heir. And that's why he married her. Because we had a lot of conversations in the last episode about the reasoning for him to marry her. Was it for riches? Was it for orkling?
Great word. It's a fantastic word.
But it does make you
snorkeling.
Yeah,
so that's why.
But it does make you wonder, like, if second children were not common, why did he marry a woman that already had a first child?
I think you get Fisher's opinion on that at the end of the next chapter.
Yeah.
He states very vehemently his opinion on that.
Yeah.
We also find out in this chapter that Kingfisher doesn't like being called the Lord of Kalish because he says that he doesn't feel like he actually saved his people. We get a quote from him. Do you know where they are now? The people who used to live on my lands, on the wrong side of the Darn, paying for the blood of their own fucking children. So they've become feeders in Malcolm's army. That is super heavy to have on somebody. And so that's why I think he's like, don't call me Lord because these people are suffering because I can't fix this and I can't stop it.
I do think he blames himself way too much on
Absolutely.
Does. It's time number like 4,782 that we've seen Kingfisher as a reluctant leader.
Yes. Yeah.
But we also get a quote somewhere about how Kalish is protected. So how have they become feeders if the area and the people are protected by Fisher's bloodline?
Remember, it's Bellicon who can't eat.
Not Malcolm.
Not Malcolm.
Okay.
That's true.
Got it. Good point. Okay.
They also start to have a conversation in this chapter about the fact that they slept together. And Fisher seems to start to hint that it might mean something different for him. So we start to get little hints about the mate trope coming in. And then they're interrupted by Wendy, good old Wendy and her biscuits. We are also glad that Saeris kind of sticks up for herself. Kingfisher's been very hot and cold. You never know what you're going to get from him. She says to him, I'm not going to throw myself at things that hurt me. Good for her.
Yeah. He's giving her, he's saying, why haven't you brought it up? No, I'm not going to bring it up.
Right.
I deserve better. You come to me when you're ready to talk.
Right. Not that you aren't great, but like do some work. Get back to me. Go to therapy.
Saeris has like a revelation with Wendy, right? So she says, quote, she'd sensed me coming through the gate. Was that possible? Evelia was a land of unexpected magic and unique beings. She'd taken one look at me and known I was from Zilvarin. That was pretty impressive all by itself. Wendy half closed her eyes, peering at me through the slits in her lowered eyelids. Her mouth slowly hinged open as she took me in. She sniffed me. More than just a companion then. Wendy scowled at Fisher out of the corner of her cloudy eye. Okay, so we know Faye can smell
stuff.
Everything.
Pheromones. So that part of it is explained.
Get that one.
But what about the cloudy eye? That's got to be meaningful, right?
Yes.
Maybe she's just old and got cataracts.
I don't know.
But not,
there's a point.
Yeah, right? And then also, like, she had sensed Saeris coming. Like, I think that there's got to be a little bit more power there than just an old lady making biscuits, right?
And is she just a friend, or is she somehow connected family, like close family friend? How deep does that relationship go? Is she more important to Kingfisher than he even lets on?
Or simply maybe a friend of his mother's. I mean, they
Yeah.
come
Someone
from
who
the same
knows
area,
a lot more.
but it probably a deep family
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially again, since Kingfisher's mother clearly has such an importance in this place.
Right.
And she's very beloved. So there's got to be some connections to the people that live there.
Totally.
And then all of a sudden, Saeris has to ruin a great party and start yelling and thinking Anarath more. And I thought it was interesting because this time he gets scared almost when she's saying it. I almost thought that this was the first exposure to their mating bond because she thought the way it's presented and written to us is first she thought it. So, and he says, "Why did you say Anarath more?" She covers it up with, "I must have said it out loud." But I also do wonder if maybe she didn't say it out loud. Maybe this is the first exposure of them being able to communicate because she can think her thoughts expressively towards him. He can't read her mind, but she can project it in essence. And I wonder if this was a little bit of a taste of that for the first time. We don't know. They covered it up, but it scared Kingfisher.
It's a little tidbit for sure.
Yeah. And why in this moment? I almost kind of wondered if something significant was happening in Sanisroth, and that's why she heard it. Because usually whenever she's heard the voice, she's been with Quicksilver and she's been trying to manipulate it or trying to smelt it somehow. But this is a moment where she's disconnected from a Quicksilver and she's still hearing it. So like you said, maybe she's hearing it through his Quicksilver, like in his eye, like through his bond with the Quicksilver, or maybe something significant is happening in Sanisroth in that moment.
And he still won't tell her what it means. He won't tell her what the word
I think he's just
means.
terrified.
I think so too.
Them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like it shows how scary it is for him.
Yeah. I also, in this chapter, which I haven't talked to you guys about yet, but when she says it or thinks it and he gets petrified of the fact that she said it, I start to get the feeling like, what if Kingfisher is actually worried that she is not good? What if she is saying it and she is thinking it because she is somehow corrupted by the evil of Belicon or Malcolm or something, and that he is being tricked into loving her, and maybe that's why he's keeping even more of a distance? Like, something about it made me think, yeah, he's scared that she's saying it, but what if he's scared of her and he doesn't want to fall because he thinks that she's going to backstab me? I'm going to be tricked into love, and I'm going to fall flat on my face, and this is all a trick. I'm not supposed to love her. And I don't know why I felt that way, but I was like, he's scared of falling in this moment.
That's a big take.
I don't know why I felt it. Yeah.
But I mean, maybe you felt it because there might be something to it. I mean, think about it. If you were a fae who had been, or anybody, you could be Kelly, that was trapped for 110 years.
I look good.
Or even a year. Like, wouldn't you also be afraid that something fell into your life, like after your life had been so awful for so long, that something good fell into your life, like
too good to be true?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't trust it. We know fae are tricky little thieves and tricky little sneaks. And like, what if, he just doesn't trust that this good thing is as good as it seems? I don't know. He's been fucked over a lot in his life. And so I kind of got that sense of like, he's scared of whatever that means, and maybe he's scared because maybe she's not the real deal. And then I started to get scared because no one had backstabbed anyone at this point, and doesn't in the book. And I'm like, what if this whole time it's fucking Saeris? It's not, but
what if
I was getting worried.
It might not be Saeris
yet,
like Saeris by design,
right?
But Saeris is now, like, at the end of the book, like, Saeris is a vampire,
right?
She's half, like,
right.
I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of, can I trust you? Like, she is the queen of the enemy now.
Right.
For
I know.
all intents and purposes.
And this is the scene, this is the chapter where I started to get, oh crap. What if there's more to it than just whatever she's saying is scary and means something scary?
I wish we had an answer for you.
I know. I have no clue.
I don't even think for the rest of the book we get, but That's why we always harken back to the fact that we're in book 1 of 5. There's so much we don't know yet.
It's terrifying to me thinking that we're only one book in and what can happen in those 4 books. It's so scary.
But in a more positive note.
Yes, please.
Let's leave that depression behind for a minute.
So we're going to take a little pill and we're going to get happy for a second.
Next section. We find out what Kingfisher's mother's name is. Adina. Adina of the Seven Towers, Lady of Kalish. I did some name research here.
Of course you did.
Because you got to.
You have to.
Names mean everything.
You're right.
So obviously I had to look up what her name means and if it has any importance. And it means a wealthy and prosperous friend.
Okay.
So that I feel could mean nothing, but it also could support the fact that she's from a different region, right? I get the impression she comes from a wealthy family, a wealthy background, and I think the choice of her name is kind of validating that assumption. I don't know if we could go as far as to say she's royalty or anything like that, but I do get the impression that she comes from a very high fae family, a wealthy, famous family, and I think
like noble adjacent.
Exactly. And I think that name is kind of
noble adjacent.
Noble adjacent.
Noble adjacent.
It's totally a thing.
I like that.
I knew what I meant.
But I think it gives credence to that. So when you said, I think she's royalty, I think she's something more, I think she is. And I think her name supports that.
Well, and also, again, go back to name meetings. In this book specifically, we do not know Faye's real names. So if she goes by names. Adina, it is a named name, right?
Right.
Like maybe Kingfisher. Name, maybe not.
Right. But, okay, Adina, Lady of Kalish, obvious. Adina of the Seven Towers.
What are the Seven Towers?
What does that mean?
Where are the towers at?
Whose towers are they?
Hers, apparently. What color are lady
they?
Of them.
Did she save them?
What are they built out of?
Oracling towers?
Oracling towers. Does she oracle in the tower?
I think that this is a question, though, when we talk about like the canon of the book.
Yeah.
Why do we just throw in Adina of the Seven Towers? I need to know more about these towers.
Yes. That's so right.
So why did we throw that?
Why name her that if it's not going to come back? You could have named her Lady of the Renaissance Fair. Like you could have named her anything that we've already seen.
Ballard.
Lady of Ballard.
Right. And we get something brand new, Seven Towers.
I need another map. I need a more defined map.
More maps.
I need some roads and maybe a key for how far things are apart from each other.
A compass rose.
Yes, please.
I love it. And obviously Kingfisher owns an apartment in Ballard, which we know was Adina's at one point. Mm-hmm. So again, just really showing Kingfisher and his families on his mother's side, obviously connection to the city of Ballard, which Lindsey didn't realize where it was.
Yeah.
And just learned in today's episode.
Maps. They're amazing.
Maps.
I also just kind of had a realization too. If it was the mother's apartment at one time, does that mean it was hers before she was married to Kingfisher's father?
I got the impression it was her families.
Yeah. And she kind of was given it.
Like maybe that was hers, and then she moved to Kalish.
Got it.
To become Lady of Kalish, and then ended up going to the Winter Palace.
I kind of love that a woman like got passed down something in this world. So I kind of
she went to Oracle school. She had an apartment in the city.
University. That's true. Yep. Oracle University does have really great apartments.
That's the story. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's so adorable. She didn't like
the dorms.
Town.
Yeah. She was like, the dorms aren't my thing. I really want something more homey.
Fenrin,
let me get an off-campus apartment.
When you annoy me, I'm going to go to my apartment. Chapter 26.
This chapter is equally heartbreaking and peaceful to me at the same time. Like, I think that we really see Saeris and Kingfisher break through a wall in their relationship here. It is an absolutely changing point for them, for both of them. And even little Onyx senses Fisher's distress and stays with him. Again, I really kind of have a theory, not that it matters in the back of my mind, that Onyx is a familiar to Saeris. And if Saeris and Fisher are mated, then it would mean that Onyx kind of has like a little like mini mating bond to him too. Like not in a weird way, but in like a cute way. Yeah. So I think that I don't know. That further cements the fact that I
Mhm.
think that there's more to Onyx.
Beyond
than
just
we
like
see.
animal instinct, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I have a connection
He's
to.
very
I care for
intelligent.
you.
He's a
Yes.
familiar 1,000%.
His eyes
I love that
have
theory.
intelligence.
So, quote, "This was because of the Quicksilver. There was no doubt in my mind about that. Even if I hadn't seen how badly it had spread across his eye, I'd have known from the chanting I could hear in the back of my mind all of the time now." So she can hear Anarath Moore chanting over and over and over and over. We talked about this a few minutes ago. Is it because there's something bigger going on, or is it because she's sensing something in Kingfisher?
I think their mate connection is really starting to show. I think that because she is new to the concept of fated mates, actually, has she even, she doesn't
She
know that
doesn't
that's
know.
a thing yet.
No.
I don't
We-
think she knows at this
We
point,
are
yeah.
starting to be like, oh, wait a minute, mates are a thing. We know
Mhm.
Kingfisher knows. But I think that this is her starting to be like, wait a minute, why can I feel this? Why can I hear this? And I think it's a connection.
The first time we hear the word mate, I believe, is with Selena.
Yes, you're right.
And I don't think they've had that conversation yet.
You're correct.
That's the first time she realizes what the
Yes.
mating bond is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she describes the
Mhm.
tattoos and the god bonds and all that kind of thing. Yep. Okay. You're right.
Here's something I did want to note. We have not gotten into the explosive chapter yet. We are in the chapter before the explosive chapter, and I did want to note something. So they have a very intimate scene here, right? She is trying to console him. She's trying to be there for him for 4 hours straight. But what I noticed was there's this quote: "I wasn't surprised when the ink beneath his skin drew closer to the places where our skin met. I watched it climb my fingers, forming shapes and then runes and delicate designs as they inched upward. There was every chance they'd still be there in the morning, but I couldn't bring myself to care now." I think this is really cool because her first tattoo appeared in a moment of great passion, right?
Great passion. Really,
Real
great
good.
passion.
A+ passion.
These tattoos are appearing now on her in a moment of
Yeah.
intimacy between the couple. And so I like that idea. I feel like I feel like they're doing more for their mate bond here and her being there for him while he is struggling through this. And I think that's why, because her mating tattoo, I don't believe has formed yet. I believe that this is the formation of that mating tattoo. It's the start of it. And it's because they're sharing this intimate moment instead of this explosive moment. And I just wanted to call that one out.
And
like
also
that.
the reminder too that that's important because there's a difference between the mating bond tattoos and the god bond tattoos.
Yeah.
I mean, those are on a completely different level. Like Telena and her husband have mating tattoos, but I guess these are all god bonds because they were given. Telena and her husband chose their tattoos.
But they also had them inked on. They didn't just appear, right?
Yeah, so that's my point. So
Mhm.
it kind of furthers what you were saying in this moment of it's very intimate, it's very passionate. It's the acceptance of each other's feelings in these moments where we start to see the God bond tattoos. Like these are not ones that they have chosen for themselves. Yeah. I like that actually. I like that you pointed that out a lot. Yeah.
So Saeris tells Kingfisher about her childhood. We learn that her father died when she was 2. Her mother became a prostitute at the House of Kala, which we did know a little bit about.
House of Kala is the place that they go to in the beginning, right?
Yes.
That is the same place.
Yes,
Correct.
it is. So she was a prostitute there, but sometimes she also worked out of their house. And the mother's name was Iris Fane. I think that Kath did some research here. Do you want to talk about this?
I forgot about this. I did another name meeting research. So we know Iris means rainbow, but Iris was also the messenger between the gods and the humans in Greek mythology. I thought, we don't know who her father is, right?
Why? First of all, why?
Who is
Why
the
you?
father? But just the fact that their mother is named Iris, and Iris is the messenger between the humans and the gods.
It's gotta mean something.
I feel like it's gotta mean something. Every single name she's chosen so far seems so very intentional that I gotta think there's gotta be something more here. Or even if we don't need to take it literally as messenger of the gods, maybe we think of it as messenger of a being other than a human, right?
So Fae versus human
Exactly,
connection.
because we know she was close friends with Elroy, and I have my Fenren Elroy prediction. Maybe it's something about that, right? We know Iris was very close with Elroy, was friends with Elroy's. Maybe it's something. Maybe it's just simply that. We're not taking it as far as a Zareth god level, but maybe it's just something humans, a messenger between a human and another being. And maybe that's what she served her purpose, right? Because she had this relationship with Elroy, and then Saeris herself also got one. So I flip flop in my mind if maybe I'm just talking out of my ass and it means absolutely nothing, or maybe it means a connection to the gods, or maybe it's just the connection to the Fae in general, some other beings. But I feel like that name's got to mean something, got to have intent.
I love that. You also just made me realize something. How much of an age gap is there between Saeris and Hayden? Do we know?
I think it's 4 years, maybe.
Yeah, I want to say it's 4 years.
So if the father died when she was 2,
Yeah.
Hayden wasn't born yet. So they're definitely not full siblings.
Yeah, I think we guessed at
No.
that in
I
previous
missed that.
No.
episodes.
She was 2 and her mother was 4 months pregnant with Hayden. Hold on.
Oh, so they're not 4 years apart then.
I think.
'Cause I thought we had guessed that they were not full siblings.
I still
We
don't think
definitely-
they are.
We definitely did,
Yeah.
but I think I was going off of vibes. I wasn't going off of any facts.
I don't remember.
My mother was 4 months pregnant with Hayden
When the father died.
or the
So
father
they're-
died.
Okay, so they're leaving it
So
open
she
that
was
it could
2
be.
when her father died. So that's how far they don't have much of an age gap. But that does not mean
Right,
It doesn't
doesn't
mean
mean
anything.
anything.
Right.
Fathers,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
okay.
I just thought, wait a minute, how different are they? Because are we getting the proof right there that he's definitely not the father? But no, still.
Yeah, so we do know that there is an age gap there. Like we have kind of guessed that potentially they might only be half siblings, but this does not prove or disprove that.
Yeah.
Like technically she was pregnant when the father died, but we don't know that means that.
Right.
I mean, I hate to say it, like, well, she didn't turn into a prostitute until
That's true.
after
Until he
the
was
dad
gone.
died.
Yeah.
So
but people still cheat.
Right. You never know.
Yeah.
Cheat, other things happen.
Mhm.
We don't know that they were like in love just because they were married. Like there's a lot of stuff we don't know about their relationship.
Yeah.
So.
But then we also learn more about her profession after her father passes.
Yep. The mother's client list was mostly guardians. So she definitely heard some shit, knew some things behind the scenes because come on, you think those men didn't let some things slip in the throes of passion or after they thought they were, super safe? That's my guess there is that she heard a lot from her clients. We also know that Elroy loved her mother and would make daggers so the people could protect themselves against the guardians.
The other prostitutes.
Yes,
To begin with, at least.
Exactly. All the other prostitutes had a little bit of protection, which I do love about Elroy. And rebels would start to stay at their house in hiding, and they taught Saeris how to fight, how to steal, how to pick locks.
I got some questions about the rebels.
I know. Go ahead. Ask me the questions.
Like, who the fuck are these people? Like, we never really, Lindsey's unhinged thoughts want to say that these are Fae in hiding.
I agree with that.
Like, who else would go against Madra?
And under Elroy. /
Right?
Fenrir.
Like, yeah, we're just gonna
I'm
keep
just
pushing
pushing
that.
it.
I'm
I'm pushing
pushing
it.
that theory, guys.
We got to
But
keep
it's
it
true. Like,
rationalizing
we really don't hear, we hear that there's rebels, but we don't hear of an official rebellion. Is it just people that were downtrodden by Madra and wanted a better life? Or they, we hear that there could be thousands of Fae hidden in Zelvarin. Like, are these actual Fae? Is this rebellion going to come into play later? Like, we're assuming that at some point we're going to go back to Zelvarin. If there are Fae, Carrion said that he could feel the Quicksilver opening. Wendy says that she could feel the Quicksilver opening. So did all these potential rebels, is every Fae that was trapped in Zelvarin now know that there are shenanigans?
Things are moving.
Yeah, that there's something afoot.
And to kind of even push that point even a little bit further, her mother dies, right? She's killed by a guardian, right? They burn her body. But then when they come back, when Saeris and Hayden have burned their mother's body and they come back, there's this black X painted across the stonework, marking their house as the very first house in the 3rd Ward that was quarantined by Madra. To your point, Lindsey, these rebels, why on earth would a prostitute dying in the street justify?
Why would it have been important? Yeah.
Right.
Why would that
Justify-
start a quarantine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? That
She was
makes no
important enough.
sense to single somebody out unless there's
Hidden Fae.
stuff going on behind the scenes that we as a reader don't know about. Saeris absolutely doesn't know about. And these whole rebel things, like this sounds like it wasn't just a disgruntled guardian that potentially killed the mother. This sounds like this was very, very targeted.
Calculated.
I feel like, yeah, there's
to
a
this
bigger
rebellion.
picture.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
maybe this is also more pointing to your name research about what her name means. If she is a connector between humans
A
and gods or
messenger.
humans and fae, this kind of points to she was up to no good according to Madra, and she shenaned once and then she shenaned again, so she killed her.
Yeah, because her mother being killed a week later, the entire lockdown of the third
Yup.
ward and the quarantine begins.
Yeah.
That's some
That's a
suspect
coincidence,
timing
yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
There's more. I completely agree with that.
Then a couple of other things like Hayden rebels, we find out, obviously, as a young teen would, after he finds out that his mother was a prostitute and helping rebels. I get it, bro.
It's a lot to learn
And
about your mother.
that they couldn't stay with Elroy because it would draw attention to them.
Or
Why?
would it draw attention to
Yeah, wait. What are your theories about that? Why draw attention to who?
They
to Elroy?
basically said
Yeah.
that they didn't want to draw attention to Elroy because Elroy had been the one making the weapons for Saeris' mother.
And they
But
didn't want
that seems like a
connection.
very rationalized excuse because here's the better reason why they would stay. She's an apprentice to Elroy. It's not a huge stretch.
Right,
There's
that she would
something-
live with them.
Yeah, again,
Mm,
the connection between the mother dying, their house being quarantined, didn't want to stay with Elroy. There's got to be something more
yeah,
to that backstory and something bigger to that backstory for sure.
yeah.
And then they finally
Okay.
slept together. But
Fall asleep.
they fell asleep together,
Oh, like
This
sweeties.
was something new, different.
cuddling.
Yeah,
Mm.
intimacy because you care about somebody. I do love that.
And to bring back a point we said, I think in the last chapter, when they're falling asleep together, Sarah says, my mother was killed, finishes telling Kingfisher about that. And he whispers to her, my mother was killed too. We have that in common, little Osha. So I think the question of Kingfisher's thoughts on his mother's death, I think he does blame Belicon. I think he does see the fact that Fae children are not common and that Belicon decided to try to have a child with Kingfisher's mother, knowing that it might kill her. And I think that says Kingfisher thinks that one was absolutely murder on Belicon's part.
Do you think there's a chance that Belicon like went even further and like had her killed or murdered or something during childbirth, so he can we've already talked about how we wouldn't put it past him to claim the glory of killing Amnam Shakrai and all those things. So would we put it past him to say, hey, doctor, at my wife's bedside as she's giving birth, maybe cut something the wrong way or
Yeah.
don't do something right, and so we can
Don't
blame
help
it on
her.
this. Right, don't help her.
Yeah.
Unless he wanted her to oracle for him.
Orkling, he does love Orkling.
And also important to note too that the way that Saeris' mother died is she forgot her water ration at home. And so Saeris went to bring her mother her water ration. And then that's why she sees her being killed, because the mother was caught with one of Elroy's daggers. Like it was illegal to have weapons. It was illegal to have daggers. And so that's why she was killed. I don't know. The connection
The
between
setups.
all of it and the
Yeah.
setup between all of it, I feel like there's just so much there.
Yeah.
It's got to all come into play later on, like obviously, and it was a guardian that she had slept with. So there's got to be some information passing there. That guardian had likely told Madra that there was something afoot. I don't know.
Totally.
All the stories between the two of them with their mothers and a lot of the hidden reasonings that we don't know yet, I feel like for sure going to come into play.
Totally agree.
Oh, the other thing, I just thought it was interesting to note the chapter names have meaning. Ashen Cinder was meant to represent the fact that she watched her mother's funeral pyre until it was nothing left but Ashen Cinder.
I loved going through every single chapter because the name of it was sometimes very obvious and sometimes you had to find it, but there was always a connection that was like that's what they, and that's, if it's named this, then that must be a really important piece. So I kind of love that too. Because sometimes
like,
it was,
they're almost like little
obviously
Easter eggs.
Yeah, little Easter eggs of like, pay attention to this, that you don't realize it until you read it and you're like, that must be important because that's the whole name of the chapter.
Well, then that brings us to chapter 27. Marked. We don't need to be guessing about why that one is called that.
It's a steamy one, folks.
It is sexy time.
Also, when I wrote this outline and I wrote the summaries, one of my very favorite things is writing the summaries and imagining making Kelly and Katharine say them out loud. It like brings me small joys.
Seriously?
Absolutely.
Things that you want
it brings me small joys in life. And so when Katharine read it, and I just, as I was writing it, was making her say, and it was so good.
Which is only
small
fair
joys
because I hear you in my head.
Listen,
constantly.
It's just small joys of making a podcast.
We spend way too much time together.
We spend way too much time together.
And by way too much, I actually mean
Never
not
enough.
enough. Never enough.
Never. Okay.
All right, let's talk about sexy time.
It's steamy. It's a good one.
So we get a really good quote from Saeris at the beginning. What happened last night had been awful for him and for me. It had irrevocably altered the dynamic between us, and I don't think either of us were ready to face that just yet.
So let's have sex instead.
So instead of facing it, let's just get it out.
I can never read or hear the word irrevocably without thinking about Twilight. It is absolutely
burned into your brain.
It is a word that has been completely ruined by Bella Swan saying, I knew two things for sure. Number one, Edward Cullen was a vampire. And number two, I was irrevocably in love with him.
Oh God, I know the scene. I can hear it in my brain.
I can't. Every time I see the word irrevocably, that it literally just goes
the misty atmospheric vibe.
Goes straight there for me.
The fog. Also, they can speak mind to mind.
Hello, this is new.
Yeah.
That's fun. We know it's from the mating bond.
That could be sexy.
That is so.
But the best part is that she doesn't know why.
She has no clue. We know it as fantasy readers. We know it as readers of Quicksilver. She does not know yet.
But this is an interesting take on it because a lot of times where we see fated mates, we see that they can hear each other's thoughts. Mm-hmm. And he specifically says, I can't hear your thoughts. Like, you have to actually speak to me.
Yeah, but that makes it more steamy because she was literally telling him what to do the entire chapter, and he was listening and doing it.
Well, and it also like brings a level of trust in, like, when you get a fated mates trope and they can hear your thoughts, like
there's no privacy.
Like, it's like me saying, like, thinking like, oh, I would really like a pony for my birthday, and then my husband getting me a pony. It's not because he paid attention or he thought about things. It's because he heard me say it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's not a secret.
I like the controlled speaking to each other through thoughts.
It's different versus what we read a lot.
Yes, we have the power to do this. We can use it to our advantage, but it's only if I want you to know what I'm thinking and only if you want me to know what you're thinking.
And speaking of trust, biting.
She was like, come on now.
I mean, listen, biting and vampirism in books has been deeply sexual.
Oh, yeah.
Always,
no
right? Like,
what.
I cannot think of a popular book or series ever in the history of fantasy where vampirism is not deeply sexual.
Right. Well, because the way that they describe it is always euphoric. Yeah. It's always that magical element of something magical happening in the bite, in the blood, in whatever it is that enters your body and makes you feel things that you don't feel, no matter what it is. Even if a human bites you, it's not the same. There's something in the juice.
It's like a hickey with a
little bit of drug.
But think about it this way. When Lorith was first talking about it, he talked about it from like the male perspective.
Yes.
Okay, but at the end of the book, Saeris is literally a vampire. So she's going to start biting back.
Oh, wait, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yes.
Equality.
On the battlefront and at home, equality. This is like a
in the
join the army.
In the bedroom. Wait, I really kind of hadn't. I hadn't thought about that, Katharine. Like, okay, there's always this moment of obviously a male biting a female. We are now going to see the female biting the male.
Mm-hmm. I like it. It gives her power and control.
I was only thinking about that when I was reading your synopsis today, and I was like, inappropriate thought. She's going to bite him back.
You know, to jump ahead a little
totally
bit,
appropriate.
she accidentally bites Teladius. We see her in
That's
this
true.
book bite someone.
She's going to have no
And
control.
let's think those thoughts in a couple episodes, because I think there's potentially a lot to that we're not ready to talk about quite yet, but we do see her bite.
The best part is the morning after, and Onyx wakes up and she looks at him, and Onyx is like, I know what you did last night, girl.
I'm telling you, he's a familiar.
The humor, though, that they present, we're not going to be awkward. We're just going to laugh.
Absolutely is. So her rune tattoos, again, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Find out in the next set of chapters with Taylena that Taylena and her mate chose their tattoos and got them inked. But in this case, Saeris gets rune tattoos, right? And she's not choosing them. So all over her fingers and hands. And those had formed, like Katharine said prior, that they formed while they were talking before they had sex. We know it's because of the mating bond. So do you think that there is a specific tattoo that is their mating bond tattoo, or is it kind of everything?
What I keep struggling with, and I read it again today before we filmed, is the fact that I think in a later chapter, she has the conversation with Taylena and understands what the mating bond is. And she specifically calls out the tattoo that's around the script around her wrist. That's specifically the mating bond.
That's the god.
Yes.
The
God's
bond.
mating bond. But then the problem I struggle with, though, is that when all of these tattoos are appearing on her and she confronts Kingfisher about it, he makes every single one of those go away. He mentions the rune tattoos on her fingers. He calls those almost her alchemist stuff, right? He names them even, like light, dark, silver, steel, earth, air, fire. Even Malcolm at the very, very end mentions the ones on her finger are that. So we know those are alchemist related tattoos.
And proof of her power.
Exactly.
Like further proof that she's more than a number two alchemist.
But why is he, I would think Kingfisher would only be able to glamour the actual God's mate's tattoo, but he's glamoring and making all of those disappear. And I wonder if it's simply just because all of their power is more maybe connected through their mating bond, maybe more enhanced by it. But I did struggle with why he was able to glamour every single one of them on her hand when we know that only the God-mated one is around her wrists, because he specifically calls out the bird right near her collar. He can't glamour that one. So I'm still confused a little bit with why we know which one, or I think we do, is the God-mated one, but then he's able to glamour some other ones, but he can't glamour this one. And I'm wondering, the picking and choosing, I'm still not clear on at this point.
So like if he could not glamour any of them, you'd think it would be the one on her wrist.
Exactly.
Right?
And the others would remain.
Why that one? Yeah.
I have a theory for that. I think it's because she hasn't accepted the bond yet. I think that once she accepts,
then why? Right,
I don't know about this one, but I'm in terms of why he can glamour.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that.
I think it's because she hasn't accepted.
100%. But that would be just this one.
What's the other one?
Not the fingers. And then she mentions she has one on her hand. Her right hand, her left hand is one that's a flower. And then on the right hand is the most multifaceted one. And we know from runes, right? Runes are symbols, knots layered together to collectively represent different meaning, right? You layer different runes and it means different meaning. And she mentions that one is the most complex, and there's different levels of black. And then it goes to, I think it was greenish, bluish and stuff.
Yeah, iridescent.
Yes.
She calls it.
And so all of these things, and I remember Kingfisher staring at that one in particular, being like, that one's interesting. I'm not able to necessarily glean the meaning on that one. So it's like, I wonder, not all of these are necessarily just her mating bond with him. They mean something more for her specifically. And I was very confused why he could glamour.
It's pointed out that one of the tattoos is like an iridescent blue-green color. It matches his tattoo. The color of his and his eyes, I think, too, is always called out that he has very like green eyes, right?
Yeah. They say that in the light, it kind of looks metallic, which I like because she's an alchemist.
and the Quicksilver.
The Quicksilver.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she sees that metallic gleam in his eyes too.
Exactly.
Very cool.
I do like that her tattoos mean something for her.
I do too.
Because her mating bond is not just because of him, it's because of her and him and what they mean together. Right. And so I like that it's showing them as equals.
Flower one, right, means blessed one. He does say that is the meaning of the flower that you have. And so it's like, I agree with you. I like the idea of it having meaning unto her that's separate from her mating bond. But then I was just still struggling with why he could glamour.
And I like the fact that he was like, I don't actually know what that one means. To me, that means it's something that maybe hasn't been seen before.
Is that how you read it?
Yes. I don't understand what that means.
I read it.
I'm like,
he didn't want to tell her.
Oh, he had the thoughts and he didn't want to voice the thoughts.
Oh. Yeah, that's how I read it too.
Well, but he can't lie. So I feel like
he just doesn't have to say.
He doesn't have to say
he can just be quiet.
Yeah, the way that I read it was kind of knew a little bit what it meant, but couldn't fully describe it. And to me, it was like, this is because she is different than anything anyone's ever seen. And maybe no one's ever seen a human vampire fae. And this symbol means that, but it's never existed. So he had no clue what it meant because it's a new word in their rune language. That's what I was like, oh, she different.
Often like runes overlapping on each other and connected will have like different meanings.
Right.
So
maybe. Can't interpret necessarily.
Right? Yeah. So my question is, with going back to the blessed one, who is she blessed by? Is it that she is blessed to him? Is that she is blessed literally by Saeris? What interpretation of blessed one is it because she eventually becomes a half fae, half vampire that no one has ever seen before and she's blessed? Like, I feel like there could be potentially multiple interpretations of her blessed one tattoo.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards a connection to Zareth here because he's the one who pulled her to him and kind of gave her this second chance and said that he tried to keep her fate from happening and etc. So I'm leaning towards Zareth, but man, I feel like there are so many things that can happen.
I did like that Kingfisher made the point of saying the marks are chosen for you, at least with these that are forming on her. And he also then further says they're all magic. So to me, that means these have to all be God chosen, because otherwise, who's doing the choosing?
Right.
Why is Kingfisher not surprised? Because, like, again, mating bonds and tattoos have always been inked. So wouldn't he be a little bit more shocked
that she's getting them
at this?
I think he's trying to be intentionally stoic. I think because she mentioned looking at him and him having lots of feelings and then him intentionally schooling himself. I get the impression he's freaking out internally, internally screaming.
I just imagine my husband being like, the fuck is that?
Yes. He would not be able to keep it cool.
Stoic.
He is not a 1733-year-old man who knows how to school his feet.
That's true.
For sure.
Sure isn't.
I love you.
Sure isn't.
And then we see Kingfisher's runes, and he says that and remember, his would have been chosen, right? So he chose his runes for vengeance, justice, and sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Quote where it says the largest tattoo on Fisher's arm meant sacrifice because he had or would have to sacrifice so much. They were prophecies of a kind. They told his story.
And sacrifice for him is absolute.
Yeah, sacrifice
and suffering,
vengeance, justice. He specifically says to her that he cannot take back the small bird below her collarbone, which had formed when they had sex for the very first time. Quote, no, I can't take that back, he said stiffly, and I'm sorry for that. Now, when he says that, he's not talking about the tattoo. He's talking about the bite.
Yeah, he said, I can't take that back.
And I'm sorry for that.
That being the two bite marks he saw under the tattoo.
Oh, I didn't realize that that's what
100%. She straight up says that.
She does.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. Okay.
Yeah, that he's talking about the...
Why do you think he's sorry for that?
Because it's scandalous.
Taboo.
Bites.
And I think it just deepens their connection. He's in a moment where he's not ready for their connection to be that deep, and he couldn't hold back.
Yeah.
Plus, you got to think about it. Every single fae is going to know that he bit her. And it's a very taboo thing to bite and talk about it in public. And now she has puncture marks.
Right. And so it's putting her in a position that he doesn't like that he put her in.
And putting
'Cause of
himself in a
respect.
position that everyone is going to know that he wasn't able to hold back.
Okay. All
with
right.
the human.
Yeah. With the human, the lowly human.
It's funny now that I think about it. I think that we were like, oh, what happened in those 2 days? Like, I think that he spent those 2 days talking to Renfus.
Oh, I think so. Processing it. With his friend.
Talking to his BFF.
Figuring out what the heck he was going to do next.
Figuring out what's going on.
I like that.
He went and had like some deep friend time.
We have theorized that Renfus knows what the heck is up.
Well, when does he say the quote when it's like, oh, I can't be responsible for the one thing that's keeping Kingfisher alive or something like that? Yep. So that hasn't happened yet. No. So then for sure, those 2 days, I am now convinced in my mind, he went and talked to his BFF about his mate.
Yeah, he refers to her as his sole reason for living.
Oh, God, I love that. You know what? They had a little chat.
Sole reason.
Whoa!
Dun, dun, dun. Chapter 28. Just ask.
Good.
Right?
Staff.
So I get it, girl. Saeris is rage throwing glass at rocks.
Why not?
I mean, there are businesses that all you do is go in there and destroy shit because it makes you feel good.
A rage room? This is the original rage room.
How much fun would that be to just be able to go into any room and just throw shit at walls?
Smash the shit.
That sounds amazing.
I get it. Saeris, if books are ever taken away from me, that is the way that I will.
Saeris, I get it. So, quote from Carrion, of course. Want to tell me why we're doing this? Destruction, I replied. Carrion nodded, bobbing his head from side to side. As good as a reason as any. I like it.
Carrion is becoming friendship goals.
Yes. Absolutely.
He just supportive and like, cool, all right.
Let's do this together.
Destruction, great, I'm in.
Yep. And then again, we see Carrion say Saeris is like mocking her and laughing at her. And he's like, why don't you just ask it? So is it because Carrion is just simplifying things because he's Carrion, or does he know something?
Because he's Fae. That just made me think that.
Right. Like, does he know something bigger? Or is he just totally carrying carrioning it and is like, just ask it?
I don't know. You just made me think that maybe he knows, because remember he always mentions how his grandmother, Grace, always had books, right? And made him learn about all these certain things. I wonder if maybe she was one of the only people who wrote shit down and has stuff to make sure that Carrion learned about his...
I mean, I will say if he's known this whole time and this is the first time he's saying it, that's kind of bitchy. Yeah. But...
He is kind of bitchy, though.
It does kind of make...
But you also have to wonder... Because remember, when in chapter 23, when she makes this comment of saying perhaps it was a latent gift that hadn't manifested in Carrion yet, when his hand prickled when he held it near the box that held the Quicksilver. I do have to wonder if there's something more that Carrion's still not saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Because why is he's following her around in this forge a whole lot. For somebody, maybe he's just bored. Maybe Carrion, he's
feel
bored.
Like he doesn't know anybody
and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, Saeris, can I be your best friend?
Also he can take naps there.
Exactly.
And he's with the one person who can't smell that he's Fae or doesn't know potentially who he is. So maybe he's safe.
And he's known her for years, And so maybe it's something as simple as that. But I also wonder if he's trying to low-key learn from Saeris without saying that he is also an alchemist himself or something. I don't know.
I didn't read it that he's hiding that he's an alchemist, but definitely like hiding his obvious importance when it comes to his position of royalty.
But again, he sensed something with the Quicksilver in the box.
Well, and let's talk about that. So
sense the Quicksilver in the box. No, they can't sense the Quicksilver.
Oh.
So let's talk about it. She specifically says, quote, perhaps it was a latent gift that hadn't manifested in Carrion yet. His hand had prickled when he'd held the box. Maybe that meant something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always read it as it was just further proof of he is...
Him being Fae.
And not only Fae, but the most important Fae in the realm.
Of a big deal.
Yeah, I think that I just read it as there's clearly some latent hidden power there.
And it really could be just that.
Yeah.
just-
Or there could be something.
Or there could be
always kind
Maybe
of
he's
alchemist.
a different number of the kind of alchemist.
But I also love him injecting his typical Carrion humor when he's like, it can't be sentient. He said dubiously, ho, 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 it is. You wouldn't be saying that if you could hear what I hear. And he's like, have you considered the possibility that you might be mad?
Yeah. It's either Quicksilver talking to you or you're not.
Or you're absolutely fucking insane.
And she's like, yes, I have considered that.
Yes.
Actually. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He says the inside thoughts. I love him.
He does. But then but he follows her around almost like a puppy in this because he wants to see it himself. But I also love the fact that he's like, if it seems like your mind is being sucked out of your body and you're in excruciating pain and can't let go of the Quicksilver sword with the murder spikes, do I have your permission to tackle you to the ground? That seemed like a prudent plan. You do. Excellent.
The murder spikes.
But like it's him being funny, but him also kind of like really caring about her at the same time.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like can I just ask permission? Can I tackle you? Yes.
And I'm going to make a joke about this thing that probably is going to hurt like fuck.
And could very well happen.
Yes.
Too. Like they have no clue. And he's like kind of preparing to have her
I'm
back.
going to tell you, this might fucking hurt. I'm going to make light of it so you're not too freaked out. Your anxiety stays low, but also, like you said, consent to save you if shit gets real.
Yeah.
But in his way, I do love that.
Yeah. So then they go to the war tent and Saeris continues to argue with the Quicksilver for a bit at first. Okay, there's some interesting things that the Quicksilver says here. So it says that it is not owned by anyone. The Quicksilver is talking in many voices.
Mm-hmm.
We can be everywhere. They purred in unison. They'd answer my question. It had. So they and it. I couldn't fathom whether the voices inside the Quicksilver belonged to one or many. And then again, just kind of running through some quotes here. Fae and human desires do not concern us. Mm-hmm. So what do we make of this? I mean, is this kind of further proof that the Quicksilver it says it's not Fae and it's not human, so it's something else?
Yep. It's not owned by anyone.
I feel like this is further proof that it's the gods.
I really agree. This is the quote where I think your theory really hits me in the like. It always was, that could be real. That could be real. But the fact that no one owns us. We are anywhere. We like all of the things that it says. What could be higher than the gods? No, nothing owns the gods. They can literally see everything, do everything, be everywhere. I kind of feel like it's really good proof.
And especially breaking down the quote of Fae and human desires do not concern us. We know that the gods left because they did not like the way that Fae and humans were acting anymore. Like they said that everyone is selfish. They were sick of the destruction that was in the world. So this of Fae and human desires do not concern us. It's almost like word for word, thought for thought of why the gods left the world.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't, that's not our problem. We don't care about that. That's not why we're here. That's not why we're talking to you.
But sing to us.
Sing me a song.
Sing us a song to keep. Keep. It's so sad.
Keep. I know.
To keep. So, and Sarah says, and you will bestow the blade I forged with magics that the bearer might wield. Okay. She's getting smarter about talking to the Quicksilver and about the oaths that she makes. But why does she ask this of the sword? Because in this moment, she still assumes that the sword is going back to Danya. So why is she asking the Quicksilver to give Danya magic?
Why not?
Why would she even think to ask that?
Well, I guess, isn't she just asking it to forge the Quicksilver to the metal to become a god sword again? So why wouldn't you ask it?
It was dormant. So she wasn't.
But she's saying
she wants it to become more, but why?
But why not? Why? I mean, I would ask
I just don't think that she would be thinking about that. Like, she's a human. She's literally just learned about that god swords exist. She hasn't really learned a lot about them yet. I wouldn't think that this would even pop into her brain.
Well, I think she's way more
especially not for Danya.
Well, but it's Danya's sword. She's still thinking of it as Danya's sword, period.
I kind of think she's trying to make up to Danya for the fact that she like
maybe.
screwed shit up. Like,
maybe you guys are right.
this crazy psycho bitch hates me. I destroyed her sword. I have a chance now to make things right. Can you give her some magic so maybe she doesn't try to slit my throat while I sleep? Like, that's kind of my thinking.
I also always got the impression that she was bonding these relics, and specifically for a sword, she knew they used to have magic. So I feel like you would just ask the Quicksilver, not only will you let me forge, will you restore the magic?
Yeah.
It came from you. Will you restore it? Like,
yeah.
well, I'm all in.
Yeah. And more to your point, Lindsay, about like she's getting smarter about how you make a deal and what you need to ask it. And so she's thinking through all the possible things that you might need to ask, because she doesn't want, I think, to hand the sword, she thinks, over to Danya, and Danya be like, there's not even a trace of magic in this. Did you ask it? Like, I don't think she wants to be caught like, oh shit, I'm a stupid human again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
that's how I would read it.
She's going to forge a sword.
Right.
We're going to
She's
go
like, Elroy taught me well, and I'm going to prove my shit to you.
And
I'm
going to
Michael
put some
Jordan
magic
this.
in it.
Yes.
But I also like Carrie interjecting with, are you talking to the Quicksilver? Yes, I'm talking to the Quicksilver. And he's
you
like,
told her to.
Well, you kind of look constipated right now. So I'm just checking in.
So again, Quicksilver talking to her, is it not within your power to give it? And it responds, all is within. And then she notes, it sounded affronted by the implication that it wasn't capable of something, but it is undeserved. Okay, again, let's listen to the Quicksilver and tell me this doesn't sound like the gods. But it is undeserved. We decided long ago. How do you know? How can you tell if a warrior doesn't deserve the gift? Have you assessed the worthiness of every warrior who wishes to wield a sword? All warriors are the same. They only wish to kill. That isn't true. Most warriors fight because they have to protect and defend. Improbable. We will bear witness to the blood. If they are honorable, we will consider allowing the old magics to flow through us again. Come on, people. This is almost word for word
the reason
that the gods left, because they did not think that beings on Earth, I mean, whatever, wherever the fuck we are,
here,
come here right now, Quicksilver.
Beings in Georgia.
But like they knew that. I keep wanting to say people, but I know it.
Fae.
I guess we can we just say collective people?
Well, Fae specifically. The Fae were charged.
And humans, though,
But
too.
Fae were charged specifically with the keepers of the Quicksilver, and they abused that power.
And they abused it. And they say like that the Fae no longer deserved it because they were just brutal. They didn't respect each other. So that wording of the Quicksilver, it is like a mirror of why the gods left. I will die on this hill.
I think it's a good hill to die on.
So the Quicksilver has immense power.
Yes.
Let's think for maybe a second that Lindsay's wrong and it's not the gods.
Oh no, it's the gods.
I know. I'm convinced now. It's hard. It's gonna be.
I'm convinced too, but since we don't officially know, let's pretend that we don't.
It's its own sentient, separate being
with immense power.
Yeah, that maybe follows the gods or believes in the same way as the gods, or
and that it is
that level.
Chosen up until this point to hold back that power.
Gave the power and took it away.
That's right. So, quote, we will be forged anew. When you have upheld your end of the bargain, we will taste the blood of the one who would carry us.
Important.
Very important. If they are honorable, we will consider allowing the old magics to flow through us. Again, I just had a thought. In our last episode, we theorized that someone is going to backstab.
Yes.
And we had the thought that it could potentially be Lorith because it would make sense because he is close to Kingfisher.
Yeah.
But the Quicksilver just told us that he is honorable. So does that cross Lorith off our list of potential backstabbers, therefore leaving very few people left?
I absolutely think it crosses him off the list. I think if anything were to happen with Lorith, it would be something that either is not
It would
even
have
in
to do with his death.
brain yet.
It
Right.
would have to do with Lorith's death.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Because they talk about Lorith's death
so much. They talk about what's going to happen
That's
when he
sad.
dies and how he's going to choose.
Can we stop talking about Lorith's death?
I'm just saying.
It's really sad. I agree. If he's honorable and they say he's worth it, and the fact that they say that they took away the power because all they cared about was they were warriors, they were, merciless and all this kind of stuff. The fact that they are going to choose Lorith here in a second means that he is honorable.
But also think about
has that level.
They have to literally choose each new person to wield a sword. This is going to take a while.
It's going to take as long as finding the 15,000 relics and who they belong to without Accio relic.
Yes.
Amen.
Accio relic. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a magic that comes. Someone's going to have power that we just haven't learned of yet where they...
Harry Potter is coming through the Quicksilver pole. And he's like, guys, let me help you out here.
Little Dumbledore is going to come back.
That's funny.
So
Carrion is absolutely unbothered, as always, with the Quicksilver pieces coming loose from the wall. He so does. Completely unbothered. Lorith, who's kind of let himself into the tent. I don't even know that we see Lorith come in.
No, but it surprises them.
And
then Carrion is like, I tried to warn you, and then you very rudely shushed me.
Yeah. And then he is kind of like, oh, by the way, we can use magic, and starts to help them clean up.
Accio murder spikes. Accio relic. Maybe Lorith is the Accio relic.
That's true.
Accio murder spikes.
Because he can, he can pull them all together. He uses his magic to help collect things.
Accio murder spikes.
Accio murder.
And then Saeris is like, but wait a second, you can sing.
And I love the fact that she doesn't think twice about the fact that, oh, well, if he can give the gift, then it's not going to go to him. We just need to give you a gift and then give you to somebody. Like, she doesn't make the connection.
I kind of think that the Quicksilver knew that Lorith was in the room and wanted to attach itself to Lorith.
That's why it asked for that.
And that's why it asked for a song. I don't think that was coincidence. I think that the Quicksilver knew that Lorith was there and knew that Lorith was a bard and that
I like that.
Saeris didn't know.
It wanted to be attached.
It knew what it wanted. It asked for a gift that only that person can give. Like
it knew that he was honorable.
Mm-hmm.
And it wanted to attach.
And that it can get to him by making him hold it and getting himself cut.
Yep.
Spoiler for later.
And then chapter 29, rolling right into it, the Quicksilver is finally pliant.
The beautiful ballad.
And allows Saeris to work with it. It's not laughing at her anymore. So this is a funny scene, though. Like, Saeris has been working the forge for hours, and then she goes outside, and Lorith and Carrion are betting on throwing daggers at trees.
I love it.
So we assume with Carrion's Fae senses that had he gotten a turn, he would have been okay with it. That he wasn't, like, just still pretending. But Carrion never even got a turn because Lorith was so good over and over and over that Carrion never even got a turn.
Yeah, and
he's
he's
hilarious.
So used to going against other humans, and so he's used to being the good one. And he was like, "Yeah, I got this," and he's like, "Oh shit,"
and like used to holding back, you know.
Mm-hmm. And he's so mad. He got played. He's like, cheat.
Absolutely got played.
Yeah. So Saeris makes the sword. Lorith whittles the pommel.
The quote on the sword itself is by righteous hands, deliverance of the unrighteous dead.
Wait, okay.
That's what they put on the...
I feel like I need to think about that.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean...
She did.
Yeah, she carved it. That's the quote she gave him. Into the sword.
Righteous hands, deliverance of the unrighteous
Because you got to think about the setting they're in right now. Horde of vampires right over there across the river. So it's kind of very fitting that that's kind of her mindset, right? She's crafting this sword, right?
Saeris, that is poetic AF.
It is.
She's getting smart
girl.
again.
Wow, girl.
She's getting smart. I feel like she's starting to come into her own and kind of starting to be the Fae that she was meant to be. It's almost as if her life that she was supposed to have and her knowledge and her brain that she was supposed to have if she was born a Fae is almost starting to come back to her as if it was shut off for a while and coming back to life, even though she's never known any of this. I don't know. It's like an awakening.
But give the girl a little bit of credit, right? She's going back to basics. She's like, I know metal. Let's get
Right.
Get on with the
Yeah.
metal.
Let me do the thing that I know really well. Yeah. And then this is when Lorith asks to hold the sword because it is absolutely beautiful. It is done so well. And it is so sharp that it cuts him. And remember, in the last chapter, the Quicksilver says that they will judge the warrior by their blood.
Yeah, we will taste the blood of the one who would carry us.
Yes.
If they are honorable, we will consider allowing the old magics to flow through us again.
Did you guys get that right away when you read it?
Oh, yeah.
Because I missed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
missed that it cut him, and then after it, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, yeah! Like it didn't register for me, so it was a fun. Sometimes I like
Yeah.
when I can figure something out ahead of time because I'm like, oh, I feel so smart. And sometimes I like when I miss it because it's supposed to be like, are you gonna get it or not? Like it's right in
Yeah.
front of your face,
And then you're
but
like, oh my
oh my,
God,
because
it's
that's like the
blood. Yeah.
mind blowing, like, oh, what good writing. And so I kind of was happy. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm so mad at myself that I didn't get it. This one, I was very, very happy. And I was like, yeah, Callie Hart, you got me. I love it.
I love
I
it.
like the fact that while this is all happening, there's an aurora happening above, and they make a point of saying an aurora had not been seen for 1,000 years, and they see the aurora as a blessing. So big stuff is happening right now. We know this is going to work, and something big is going to happen.
There's a huge transition happening, I think, in their world where the god swords are starting to come back. They're starting to see that warriors are worthy. And it's, to me, it's ushering in a new era, a new
Absolutely.
phase. And that's why the Aurora is coming back. It's like, we're going to bless the shit out of this next chapter. And you all need to know that, yeah, like you said, something big is happening.
But I also like that Kingfisher shows up during this time and he doesn't interrupt her while she's going through this process, but he almost seems very, very calm and peaceful and accepting in this moment. Just his tone was a tone I don't think we'd seen much before. And he was like, I just came to check on you and I was going to be here. And she's like, well, come in. And he's like, no, I'm going to sit a while and just enjoy the aurora. He's getting this calm acceptance, this peacefulness. And I feel between last chapter when they're, or 2 chapters ago, right, when she's like helping him, their intimacy is forming, and I just feel like we're seeing the sharpest change in Fisher's personality from being intentionally like he pokes her, he's trying to drive her away. He just changes now.
That's gone.
Well,
We're
don't
not seeing
forget that
Yeah.
he has been secretly visiting Talina
Yeah.
this whole time too. So we might actually be seeing an
Him.
actual
That's a
calming
good point.
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
Renfis says
Like
that
little
this
by
isn't
little.
this isn't
Yeah.
him. This is not the god. This is
Yeah.
not my friend. And so maybe we're going back to who Kingfisher really is.
But I just,
Yeah.
I liked the tone of how peaceful and calm he was in these moments. And then in these next chapters where I got this sense that he was finally fully on board with her. And I just liked this tone change from him and how it was both abrupt, but also very fitting in with the scenes that we were presented. And I just really appreciated that tone change from him.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I do, again, kind of thinking about this theory of the Quicksilver as the gods. There is a kind of moment here that speaks to me a lot where when Lorith holds the sword and it speaks to him in one voice. So before we've always heard the Quicksilver speaking in like multiple fractured voices. And I think it's really important in this moment that it speaks to him in one voice, as in one specific god is talking to.
I actually did look up. I was like, what were they the gods of again? Because I was like, did we have a music god? And I couldn't match any specific.
It's all weird, very negative
right?
gods.
I couldn't match one god specifically with this. So if anybody has any thoughts about which specific god is talking to him in this moment.
But it's just the fact that it's like a singular,
Yes.
it's like honed in.
Yeah.
It's no longer voices and chaotic. It's specific to him. I think that it's
so focused,
kind of focused and important.
And
I love
want to
that.
know which one. I want to know which one.
I know part of me wants to play the audible and see if it's male or female, because as I've told you, the Quicksilver
that's
is both
interesting.
male
Yeah.
and female. So maybe I'll look at that later.
Yeah, that could be
If it was
interesting.
just the voices from Toy Story, then we wouldn't be able to know.
Lorith starts to sing the Battle of Ajun Gate. Quote, Back in the tavern, Lorith claimed that he had once been a singer of middling talent. This performance was not middling. His voice was full of smoke and pain. Oh, that's so descriptive.
So attractive.
The air
Also
itself.
visually.
Yeah. The air itself seemed to weep as he flowed through his lament. The song dipped and soared, telling a tragic tale of impossible odds and heroic sacrifice. Nearly every line paying tribute to Kingfisher. The male next to me didn't move a muscle, but he was hating this. His nostrils flared, hands shaking at his sides, and the song plowed on regardless.
I kind of fell in love with Kingfisher even more in this moment. Because I'm like, yeah, he's reluctant, but I don't know. I just see him as such a loyal, down to earth, doesn't want the glory because he's like, to him, I feel like it's just like, this is what you do for your friends because you're a good fae. And I just love that he's like, I don't want your things. I don't need it. Like, it makes me uncomfortable to have that because I would have done it a million times over. And so I kind of fell in love with him even more.
And I think Saeris does too. Like, I mean, obviously, like, she's looking at him going, oh, he doesn't. Yeah. So in his song, which we all agree we're kind of skipping over because how do we even talk about the entirety of the Battle of Ajun Gate? Like, we can't
much.
Even
but we will
cover it.
in the bonus chapters.
We will in the bonus chapters. We'll talk about it when we do our bonus chapters episode. But
and if enough of you comment on things, maybe we'll do a short about it or a mini-sode because there's a lot in there.
There's a lot in there. And it's funny, like I almost feel like I would disrespect the story by quickly covering it on our podcast rather than just take 5 minutes and read Lorith's song.
It's almost like we need Callie Hart to come on the podcast to talk about it.
Like,
to do it justice.
What it does to Kingfisher's character and shows who he is. Again, I think we'll talk about it more when we go into our bonus chapters episode and really dive into it then. So we are not skipping it to disrespect it. We are skipping it to leave respect there. Yeah. Right? Like, there's no way to cover it without just sitting there and reading the song. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So just so everyone's clear. But the song does mention, quote, the fae who protected the fae who protected the sacred blessed ore. Or
O-R-E, spelled O-R-E.
Like, abused the ore, took advantage, became unworthy. Quicksilver?
That's what I said.
Yeah. Are we assuming that they're talking about Quicksilver, right? The ore? I think so. Or is there another ore?
So, as someone who has not yet read the bonus chapters, even though I've read this book 3 times and have had access to the bonus chapters for months, I don't know why I have not read them yet. The way I read it, without knowing anything else, was that they are talking about the Quicksilver. That's how I read it without anything extra.
So it just further shows how important Quicksilver is. Katharine just had a thought. Let's hear it.
She probably can't say it because I suck.
I am changing my opinion.
Oh, we love someone who learns and thinks differently.
I can't. Kelly's in the room.
So after the ballad, the Quicksilver speaks and everyone except for Carrion can hear it. Okay, so quote, he says, why do you all look like you've collectively shit yourselves? Do we think that he is faking it? Right? Like, could he hear it and he's still playing dumb human? Or could he legitimately not hear it? Right? Like,
yeah, I kind of do too. Or he's either playing dumb human or he's trying to brush it off as like, that wasn't a big deal. Why you look like you shit yourself? You know what I mean? Like, make it less of a thing than it is. But I kind of feel like he's being Carrion in this moment. I don't think that he truly cannot hear it if
like he's not being deceptive.
I don't think he's being deceptive. That's not the vibe I got.
You don't think he can hear it?
I think he can hear it. And because he didn't say, I don't hear what you hear. What are you saying? I think he's just being stupid. I think he's like, why do you all look like you shit yourselves? Not because he's saying, wait, I didn't hear that. What's going on?
And Saeris I think it's like he can't hear it.
I think it's like he's not making it as big of a deal. Like, what's up? Do you know what I mean? That's the vibe I got. Not that, I can't hear it. Why what did you just hear? What
That's
happened?
just Saeris's interpretation.
That's what
of
I
it.
think. Yeah. I don't think he's saying like what happened. I missed it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. What is your theory?
Yeah.
You're right. It's left open to interpretation.
You think?
Yeah, like we are obviously in Saeris's perspective, and so Saeris assumes that he can't hear it, but maybe he's just like, okay, that was a song. Why do you guys look like you're gonna shit yourselves? Just being
Right.
funny.
What's the big deal?
Right.
Right.
But in reality, he could.
He heard the Quicksilver.
That's what I
it.
think.
Yeah.
I think he could hear it.
So then the sadness of the fact that Saeris is the only one to remember the song, remember the Quicksilver in its deal, said that it wants a song to keep.
Yep.
Yes.
So Saeris remembers the song because the Quicksilver remembers the song. The alchemist remembers. We remember. So the alchemist remembers. Wow, connection to Saeris and the Quicksilver. But it's so sad. Nobody else in that group remembers Laura's song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
But I also just, that is sad that nobody remembers it. But I also just like the fact that the Quicksilver kind of just says, so what? You don't claim us, we claim you. Yeah. We make the demands and you fill the demands.
The wand chooses the wizard.
Exactly.
Totally I kind of saw this as therapy, right?
Oh, yeah.
You let
like
out,
you get it out.
You get out the trauma that happened. You tell the story. Everybody feels really deep feelings, and then you don't remember it. And not in a negative way, almost like
cathartic.
It was releasing them of this beautiful, sad moment. Because it's not that they won't remember that happened, right? Like that battle happened. They're just not going to remember the poetic beauty of the song. And so to me, it's like a let it happen and release it and be able to move on and heal from it. That's kind of what
So then the fact that he names the sword Avicieth, which means the unsung song, Redemption's Dawn. So obviously the Battle of Ajun Gate took place at dawn, Redemption's dawn, but he felt that connection, even though he released the song and he no longer remembers it, he still remembers it enough to know that it was called the unsung song.
Yeah.
There's some beauty in that.
This was one of, I think, the most beautifully written chapters in the book. I think that it's just like the love story of friendship too, which I love when authors can make you fall in love with the love between friends in a way that almost rivals the romantic love story. And this chapter did that for me. And it's beautiful. And it's hard to do because your romantic love is not
it's easy to describe,
right? It's easy to describe because everyone gets that. I don't think everyone always gets that level of friendship. And
we do because we have a podcast.
We absolutely do. I'm not gonna get teary about it. But this shows you it's like they're more than just friends. Like they are brothers. They are
and sisters.
Brothers and sisters, they are siblings.
Even fucking Danya.
Doesn't matter.
Danya, they're siblings. They are connected in a way that is so deep and so beautiful. And I think this was such a great way to show that.
Yeah. Like we see the sword get fucking angel's breath, right? Like
shoots to the sky.
Yeah, everybody in the whole place can see it and react to it. I mean, it's a big moment.
And I guess although we hear it in your voice, it is Fisher who says it. And that's probably the most exuberance we've seen from Fisher this whole time.
Fucking
and the way he says it is like fucking angel's breath. Like in
He's
a way
in
of
awe. Yeah.
Like absolute awe. And can we remind everyone what angel's breath is and what it means?
That's what spews forth from the god sword.
I don't think we can remind them because I don't think we fully know.
Okay, I thought we got a little bit of a definition.
Like we get a little bit of that it's power.
Because
that it comes from the sword.
Got it.
But
it's almost like
get a definition.
Okay,
I think
so we just know
it
it's
happen.
Really important. It's amazing, but we don't even know
Wait and see
the level of amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
That was a lot to get through. And what a moment we ended on. We started this episode being very, very sad, and we ended it with major exuberance from all of our characters.
Fucking angel's
breath. That is a wrap on chapters 25 through 29 of Quicksilver. Thank you so much for joining us for book club this week. Next week, we will be covering chapters 30 through 33. So be sure to join us for the next Fantasy Fridays. Happy reading.
Bye.
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 I like we had to do that.
Bye.
Bye.
Stupid millennials.